Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you are watching this. Welcome back to episode 28 of the Since I Was Young podcast. Joining you as always is myself, Ewan, and Alan. Alan, how are you doing, good sir? How have things been with yourself?
Yeah, I'm very well, mate. Very well. Surprisingly, considering I've just worked a few night shifts and literally rolled out of bed to do this today. But all is worth it when it comes to talking about Heart of Midlothian.
Of course, mate. Of course, absolutely. And obviously, of course, that's what we're going to be doing today on this edition of the podcast. We are going to be reviewing the main topic, of course. That was a 7-goal thriller at Tynecastle just on the Saturday past. It ended with Hearts 5, Dundee United 2, which was a scoreline that I did not expect, probably like most Hearts fans as well. But yeah, we're going to be diving into that for this episode of the Since I Was Young podcast. Obviously, we will bring you Alan's news segment as usual, because we've got a few things to point out on there, and we're also going to be announcing the two winners of the prints that we shown you guys just last week there. It was the two prints of the Stefan Adam commentary and goal as well from the 1988 Scottish Cup. So we will also announce the winners of that, and I'd like to say that we would like to have a preview for next week, but oh no, we've got another international break, and oh mate, I am gagging for it. Honestly, I did honestly. It was so short, that international break, that I just wanted another one, and oh, lo and behold, the gods have answered me. Fuck off, honestly. But yeah, so we will touch on what we plan to actually do for next week, for the next podcast that we do. So we will touch on that, and yeah, that kind of rounds off of what we're going to be talking about. And always, guys, if you are a fan of the Since I Was Young podcast for all things Heart of Midlothian news, chats, and reviews, you can check us out on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All the links are down on screen and will be in the links as well, all at SIWY Pod. And if you want to get in contact with us through our email, you can, since I was young 1874 at gmail.com. And finally, as well, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, you can, and our links will be in the description directly to our personal Twitter pages. So Alan, we have got your news segment well and truly back. What news do you have to share with us this week, my man?
Well, it's only just recently broken, actually, and it is the news that John Souttar has been called up to the Scotland squad in place of the injured Grant Hanley. It was announced yesterday, and I don't really know how to feel about it.
I really don't know how to feel about it. Any time that we've kind of talked about this, in terms of Souttar not getting picked, like there's always that sort of, I feel bad for him, but at the same time, from a fan's very selfish point of view, it's good, because like, you know what, like it obviously like avoids more chance of him possibly getting hurt as well. I kind of don't know what to feel about it. Like I don't know.
I'm like you say, I'm delighted for him.
Mhm.
He absolutely deserves it. He's
He does.
been part of one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the country so far this season. And yeah, look, he deserves to play. He deserves to get called up, and he hopefully he'll get a run out in at least one of the games, because Grant Hanley is a starter for Scotland. So you'd hope that with him being out, you know, they need someone to start. So hopefully Souttar can do that. But yeah, I said it personally myself, that the reason that I'm slightly concerned about this, and it goes back to the thing I talk about every single week, it feels like, and it's John Souttar's contract situation.
Oh, I keep forgetting about that, but then you bring it up, and then all this anxiety just Phil just come straight back, mate, honestly.
Now, this is the thing. I think, unless I'm mistaken, because there seems to be an international break every 3 weeks at this point, I think this might be the last one before January. I could be wrong on that, but I think it might be. And if it is the case that is, I mean, as I say, I could be talking absolute nonsense and there might be another one in December, but I genuinely don't know. But yeah, it's what it does is it adds another kind of extra for John Souttar and his agents to go, I'm a Scotland international again. Just add an extra zero onto the end of that money. Do you know what I mean? It gives them more of a reason to bargain with Hearts and say, obviously, I hope that he signs a contract. I hope he stays for a very long time. But it also puts eyes on him as well. Clubs during the international break may well be having a look and going, well, okay, this is a guy who's out of contract in the summer. He's playing for his country. He must be good. It's obviously all of that boils down and is totally insignificant when it comes to John Souttar personally, because I'm delighted for him, because if anyone deserves it more than him, I don't think there is anyone. He's had a torrid time with injuries over the last 18 months, and this is like crowning that comeback for him. And it's like he's come back into the Hearts squad, made himself a key player again, and this is like the end result of all that, all that hard work that he's put in to get back. Because I've said this about John Souttar many, many times. If he hadn't had these injuries that he's had in the past, first of all, I don't think he'd still be at Hearts. And second of all, I think he would have multiple Scotland caps by this point. So obviously, absolutely delighted for him, congratulating him massively. Also, however, hoping he comes back wrapped in cotton wool and does not get in any sort of danger at all.
You and me both, mate. Well, I think that is enough talk of Scotland for the next few months. So thank you very much for the news segment. As always, Alan, it is really appreciated. So we move on to the main topic. As we said at the start, a 7-goal thriller from Tynecastle on Saturday, 3:00 kickoff, and as we said, it ended in a dominant, rampant 5-2 victory to the famous. Woodburn's on fire, mate. I know we're going to get into it and we're going to talk about it, but Woodburn has ignited a light, and I'm loving it, sir. Loving it. Played absolutely outstanding, as well as the whole team itself. And just to point out as well, we watched every second, every minute. First half, second half, full 90 minutes. Not a blinking sight, sir. Full 90 minutes. So we'll be on point for this review of this game. So yeah, it was, I'm sure that you and all Hearts fans can agree, who were in attendance and who watched the game as well. It was a topsy-turvy first half. There was a lot of action, a lot of chances. I thought Hearts were very lively. Maybe despite the first 10 minutes, I thought, that's when I thought both teams actually started to actually look quite lively, quite expansive as well. And, I thought, how, Hearts usually play, we're playing out from the back as well. I thought we did that extremely well throughout the first half. Again, I was very surprised about how Dundee United actually played. I'll say from my sort of view, from a neutral perspective, I thought that's the best game I've seen all season. I thought, I didn't think Dundee United sat back, actually sort of going for it as well. I thought both teams actually played relatively well. Of course, Hearts going into the second half, we were absolutely brilliant. But all in all, I thought it was a really good sort of game of football. What were your thoughts on the first half, mate? And what were your thoughts also on the changes of the starting lineup from last week as well, man?
Yeah, I think I echo pretty much exactly what you said. I think it was a great advert for Scottish football. In terms of the lineup, we had said, and we had said the week prior about changes that we'd like to see, and you suggested Taylor Moore, and I think I suggested Ben Woodburn up front.
You did,
which you were a little bit skeptical about, understandably. But we both got our wish, but Taylor Moore came in place of Michael Smith, which was a bit of a surprise for me.
Yeah,
but obviously
it was,
due to Michael Smith apparently having I think it was a back issue the day before the game or something. He just felt something. He didn't feel right. So he was obviously replaced by Taylor Moore at right back, or right wing back, I suppose you can say. The front three was very interesting for me.
Very, yeah.
I don't know whether I expected Boyce to be back and fit, but when I saw Mackay, Ginnelly and Woodburn, I thought that's interesting. That's interesting. And I felt like we said on the podcast last week, that I just feel as if there's a balance to the front three that we've not quite found yet.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was just something about watching that front three playing in that game. They were fantastic.
They were.
It started with Ginnelly up front through the middle. He was the sort of striker, if you will. And it's quite interesting because they put something on Twitter this morning that Ginnelly had said that he'd spoken to Liam Boyce about being the front man, being the central striker, and he was getting advice from Boyce. And apparently he watched all of Liam Boyce's highlights so far this season before the game to just, obviously give him some ideas of how to do it. And because Ginnelly doesn't normally play in that position, so it's new for him. But the way that it worked so well was because Ginnelly was sort of swapping with Woodburn, Barry Mackay was getting involved. It was really, really dynamic to watch, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it. Like I said previously, it was a very good advert for Scottish football, and I think you have to give Dundee United some credit for that. I think they started the game very well, like you said.
Absolutely. I mean, I wasn't because I don't know if we mentioned it on the last week's the podcast, but again, the only reason that I was really surprised with how Dundee United actually played, because it was yourself that said it, most of their wins have came from not trying to get on the front foot. They've just been counter-attacking constantly, and that's how they've won most of the actual games that they've actually won. So for them to kind of almost come out the blazing, that was a bit of a surprise. I again, just to touch on what you said there, I thought it was a strange one to have Taylor Moore at right wing back, because when you look at him from a physical aspect, he's quite sort of big guy. So you don't expect a guy of that sort of stature to be constantly running down the channels constantly. But I thought he did a really, really good job.
Yeah, he did. I think to begin with, I'm not saying there was a reluctance to go forward, but I think he was much more sort of focused on, right, I'm a defender, I'll just defend. And that's absolutely fine. I'm not saying that that's wrong, because to be fair, Michael Smith does that as well. Michael Smith just goes wherever he wants. But Taylor Moore doesn't have the experience in that position to do that. Michael Smith does. Okay, Michael Smith has his critics, and people say that his final third delivery isn't the best, and they're probably right on that. But yeah, you could see as the game was going on that Taylor Moore was getting more involved, and he was starting to grow in confidence. And I don't know if it was maybe because Robbie was shouting at him, telling him to go forward, or just encouraging him, because that the wing backs that we have in this system, and I've said it multiple times, they are key to how this system works. The fact that Alex Cochrane, and I'm talking about it as if Michael Smith's playing, but Alex Cochrane on the left, he loves the touchline. He never leaves that touchline. He doesn't cut inside unless he's coming into the box, which we'll touch on later. But he loves just hugging the line, running up and down, and he loves that. And on the right, when Michael Smith's there, Michael Smith doesn't really do that. He drifts inside and gets involved in the middle. But yeah, Taylor Moore, going back to him, I thought he was really, really good. Really good, to the point where I'm looking at Michael Smith going, you're going to have to put in some work to get back in here, you know?
What are you trying to say here, Alan? We don't want to upset fans here, but what are you trying to say? No. I did, well, to be fair, it was actually myself that threw you that text last night, actually.
You did.
It was me.
You did. You put me under the bus for that one.
I'll take credit for that one. So yeah, like, no. Like, I mean, in no way, shape or form that I'm saying that just based off the one game that he's played, I'm not saying for 1 second that Moore should be ahead of Smith. Absolutely not. But at that same time, just to throw it out there, do you think this kind of gives a good problem for Robbie when we do come back? I think that the first game that we're back is Motherwell away. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it is. Do you think that gives him a good problem to have in terms of whether he wants to have Smith? Like, we all know that he's so dependable, in the sense that, like, like he's played right back, now he's playing, was it right? Yeah, the wing back, and usually 9 times out of 10, he always like sort of puts in like a solid performance. But like, it's no secret he's 33. He's kind of in the twilight of his career now. Obviously, I know that, again, Moore is only on loan, and chances of him, if we wanted to sign him on a permanent, it may be a bit of a stretch. But if that were to happen, would you say that for some part of this season, do you think that Smith's role in the team could be not in jeopardy, but would you say that he, like you said, he might have to work a bit harder for him to actually keep his place in the squad?
I think so. And I think this is the thing that I really like about this squad this season. Every single player, you can see every single player wants to be playing. And that's because we're doing well.
Yeah.
Every player wants to be involved in a squad because we're doing well, we're getting results, and we're playing good football. There should not be one player in that entire Hearts team, probably aside from Craig Gordon, whose place in that squad or in that 11 is guaranteed every week.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, you could pick out Cammy Devlin, Benny Beningame, probably Suter as well, and say, right, chances are they'll start 90% of the games, and they'll deserve to. But it's just nice to have options. And they speak a lot about, like, the players always talk a lot about, every player in the squad of 20 players, every single one of them could make a case to start a game, or at least be on the bench. And I think that's massive. I think the competition is huge, and I think that can only benefit us. Taylor Moore was not signed to be a right back, and if by some, hopefully there's an opportunity for us to get him on a permanent, because I really like him.
Definitely.
And I think he's enjoying his time up here. He seems to be enjoying Edinburgh and all that as well. So hopefully there is a deal to do there. But it's, in terms of Michael Smith, going back to that, I will never say that Michael Smith should not be in a Hearts squad.
Never.
Having a realistic alternative so that we can rest Michael Smith, because, like you say, he is 33 years old. He needs a rest every now and again. I'm 32 at the end of this month, and I need a rest. I've had enough. I'm not constantly. Yeah. And I'm not even a professional sports person, but believe it or not. But no, That's fine. Nobody else did. But I think Michael Smith is a fantastic player, but it's nice to have another player that can come in and take the pressure off him and say, well, if you want to have a rest this week, I'll play.
Yeah.
You know, it can only help. It can only help.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to throw another one out there before we even start talking about the game.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, we started it. But yeah, please do, man. Please do.
And I'll make this very, very quick.
No,
I think exactly the same situation as we've just spoken about should apply to Liam Boyce as well. Now, that could be very controversial, and I'm sure there will be people out there that will be turning off at this point, saying they didn't want to listen anymore. But let me give you my logic behind this, right?
My arse and my pants have just filled up. Like I knew you had a question to ask, but I didn't. Wow.
That's not even the question either. The question comes later as well.
What are you trying to do to me, man?
I was thinking about this last night off the back of your Michael Smith message about that. Liam Boyce is the top goal scorer for Hearts at the moment. He is Hearts' best player outfield at this point in terms of productivity, right? And I'm not just basing this, like people can say, oh, you're basing it off of one result against Dundee United. It's, again, having another option. Ginnelly up front, Woodburn up front. Have they both jumped ahead of Nandule in the rankings to be a striker?
I would say so.
It's really, really interesting. And
that's already jumping a little. Like that's only my opinion, because like again, I never want to be horrible or disrespectful to Nando, but like, you know, we mentioned it last week. I don't, as much as I like Nando, I don't think he's ever going to be a starting striker unless we have to pick him. So in that respect, in terms of the players that they actually are and what they can bring to the team, you could probably argue that both Ginnelly and Woodburn individually bring a lot more to the table than Nando does.
Yeah, but I
personally,
but I mean, just the last point I'll say on it is every game in the Scottish Premier League is going to be different. You know, you can't always guarantee that Liam Boyce is going to be the best option in a certain game. Robbie Nielsen's already said about Nandule that he's a player that you want when it's a physical battle.
Yeah.
But when there's quick defenders, Nandule's not going to win that. You know, and I think that's why it worked with Ginnelly and Woodburn. I think they really took advantage, and Barry Mackay as well. They took advantage of Dundee United defence that couldn't cope with the movement. They couldn't cope with the movement. And it's, again, I said it about Michael Smith and Taylor Moore, it's nice to just have options. And if it means that we can rest Liam Boyce for a game and say, right, do you know what? If we need you, we'll bring you off the bench. That for me is something that it's a really, really nice problem to have, that we have a squad of players that are all more than capable of doing a good job. Don't get it twisted that I'm saying he shouldn't start. I just think it's
when do I ever do that to anyone?
What I will say is Ben Woodburn does not deserve to get dropped for the next game. That's my main point.
Oh, really? I don't think he played that well, but okay. But on that note, we should probably start talking about the actual game itself. It's maybe, like, you know, there's an idea. So yeah, do you want to kick things off, Alan? Obviously, like, you know, like I said at the start, I thought the opening 10 was relatively even. Like, you know, I didn't think that Hearts kind of kicked into gear until like sort of maybe about the 15-minute mark. What were your thoughts on that opening minute?
Yeah, I think we touched on it briefly before I went on my tangent rant, that both teams were out there to play a game of football, and it made a massive difference. And you could see it in the first 10-15 minutes that Dundee United were there to get their foot on the ball and play it around. And to be fair, they did that against Hibs as well, the Easter Road, when they absolutely hammered them. So it, like we said about the counter-attacking style that they have, that is one of their big things that they do. But they are capable of playing decent football, to be fair to them. And they did that in the first 10, 15 minutes. They did. But I still felt like we were comfortable.
Yeah.
And we had enough possession in that period that made me go, yeah, look, this, as long as we can ride this out and not concede in that time, then we can kick on. And I think that obviously is the way it played out. The goal, the first goal, Ben Woodburn. Yeah, it's been coming. We've been waiting for it.
Yeah, we have everybody, man. I mean, just to put a bit of the context on that, Devlin received the ball from Taylor Moore, I think it was, on the right hand side. I'm sure I might be wrong, so I do apologize if that is wrong. With Devlin as composed as he is, he turned his back to face the goal. He found Woodburn on the right hand side. Now, like initially, I genuinely thought that in the sort of position that Woodburn was in, I genuinely thought he was going to cut it back, but he just put his laces through it, and Seacrest, I believe is the name of the Dundee United goalkeeper. It pretty much went through his legs, and like I said, I was so happy for him to get like his first goal, because like we've stated it for a few weeks now that he just needs that one goal for him just ignite. Yeah, I've said it plenty of times. Just ignite, on fire, 100. There you go. And yeah, like he took it extremely well. And yeah, absolutely delighted that he managed to get his the first goal for the Hearts.
Yeah, I've said it before, and I think you have as well, that Ben Woodburn has this amazing ability in recent weeks anyway to overcomplicate everything and to try and do things that he doesn't really need to do. And I think the goal for me, like you said, I'm actually surprised he didn't cut it back, because I think the Ben Woodburn of a couple of weeks ago probably would have.
Yeah.
But as I said, if you don't shoot, you're not going to score. Like, it was a well taken shot, but the goalkeeper should save it. Like, there's no doubt in my mind.
Agreed.
But if you don't shoot that, it's not going to go in. Like, you've got to take your chance. You've got to take your chance. And I'm delighted that he did. I'm delighted that he was a bit selfish and just went, nah, I'm not cutting it back to you. I'm going to have a shot.
Absolutely.
He deserved it. He absolutely deserved it. And we were on top at that point in the game.
Yeah.
I think, like I said, we kind of rode out the first 10, 15 minutes of Dundee United pressure, and the goal came at a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, we were on top by that point, and then 4 minutes on, we were even more on top with a great run from Gianelli on the right flank. His first opportunity to get it in, he cut it back to Devlin. His shot was blocked, because at that particular moment, I thought, if Devlin gets his first goal, what are his celebrations going to be? Because any sort of one that he's joined in, he just looks over the moon. But for him to get a first goal at home, it just begs the question: what is he going to actually do? I don't know.
I think he's going to combust. I think he's going to spontaneously combust on the centre circle. That man.
Oh,
he's buzzing.
He is constantly. But yeah, so his shot was initially blocked, then it fell back to Gianelli. Cochrane was on the far left, screaming for it, like literally just hands, like fucking geese it here. It was a beautiful thinking from Gino, and well taken volley from Cochrane. And it just, like, again, like, he's a player that, I will include you and me as well. It's a player that we don't mention that much, but it's also a player that should get mentioned a lot more. Like, he goes about business, maybe not in the most fashionable way, but he's not put a foot wrong, and he's consistent as ever. And like again, if I think that trying to get Moore on a permanent might be a stretch, to get him permanently, obviously I know that that's almost out of the question, but it would be some asset to actually have me, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, he is, and like you say, he does go about his business quietly. I think, and I said this on Twitter, I think the reason he doesn't get as much praise as some of the other players do is because he doesn't play in a fashionable position. He's not a centre forward or an attacking midfielder, or do you know what I mean? He's not like a creative midfielder, but he's done incredibly well. He's done incredibly well for a player that came in and everybody was sort of looking at the loan sign and going, who's this guy? We don't need a left back. We've got Kingsley. What are we doing? He's come in and he's done brilliantly. And the goal was fantastic.
It was so composed, man. It was such a lovely take.
Ridiculous. And it's funny because I watched it again this morning, and the Dundee United goalkeeper gets booked because he goes mad because of in the build up to the goal, Cammy Devlin is accused of handballing it. I've watched it. The handball was about 5 minutes before the goal. So the fact that Cammy Devlin, the ball does hit Cammy Devlin's arm, but he can't do anything about it. He's literally right next to it. The fact the Dundee United goalkeeper's fuming at that, it's like, that was about 5 minutes ago. Like,
no, exactly. So
Cammy Devlin handballing the ball had nothing to do with the goal. Like, it was a brilliant finish, though. Brilliant finish. And yeah, just a great time to score a second goal. You know, for the first half an hour, we were like we said, Dundee United were contributing, they were involved. But when we went 2-0 up, I kind of went, okay, we get a third one by half time and this is done.
It's done,
like, that's how I felt. I felt like this is like another Motherwell or Livingston type of game. I thought if we managed to get a third goal before half time, it's finished.
That's done. You and me both.
Yeah, but then unfortunately, what was it 35 minutes? Edwards.
You got a Hearts fan in that moment where the goal went in. I wasn't like angry. I was like, my first thought was, what a fucking goal. Like literally, I wasn't even like, I was more sort of like, wasn't like sort of angry at the fact that, like, you know, there wasn't any sort of Hearts player trying to close down Edwards. But at the same time, like, I mean, like when I watched the game back as well, I mean, again, I didn't even see many Hearts fans actually stand up and, like, you know, fingers pointing. I think like everybody sat down and was just like, all right, that was all right. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean?
It was one of those goals that just sort of came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And he's coming forward, and I do have issue with the fact that no one closed him down.
Yeah.
But equally, he's a defender. And for me, I don't know much about him. I haven't watched Dundee United as much as I probably should have. But I don't think he's got that in his locker normally.
Well,
let's put it that way.
He has now.
But it was one of those that I think, and this is going to sound like a sweeping generalization, but a central defender is probably the first person you would want hitting a shot from 30 yards. If you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I get you.
Chances are it's either going to go over the stand or it's going to go out for a throw-in. Like, but I have to say as well, if it doesn't deflect off of Stephen Kingsley, who was trying his best, Craig Gordon catches it comfortably.
Yeah.
But it was the deflection. It was the deflection that took it in. So as good a strike as it was, if not for Stephen Kingsley, it's a comfortable catch. It's like I said about the Woodburn goal. If you don't shoot, you're not going to score. So he's thought to himself, I'm 30 yards out from goal. No one's closing me down. I'm hitting this. And fair play to him for that. Fair play to him for that. But I will say, if it was only 1-0 to us at that point, I would have been absolutely fuming.
Yeah.
the fact that we were 2-0 up, I was like, okay, do you know what? I'll let you have that one, because that was quite good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and just before we go on to the second half, like, I mean, I thought when the score ended at 2-1 at halftime, I thought that was a fair reflection on how the teams actually played. I thought I thought that we did deserve to actually be in front, but equally as well, I thought Dundee United actually played well enough to have a goal. So I thought that was a fair reflection at the end of the first half as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. We didn't even mention the Craig Gordon save from Nicky Clark.
Oh yeah,
that came in. I thought that was at 2-1, but it was actually when the scoreline was 2-0.
Right.
But if Gordon doesn't make that save, that's 2-1.
Yeah, and then
I don't think it was long after Cochrane's goal either, if memory serves. So, they get a goal straight back after that to make it 2-1. You're thinking, okay. So
it's a bit nervy, yeah.
2-1 was a fair reflection on halftime. I would say.
Absolutely, man. So we went into the second half. I think the only change from both teams, which you pointed out when the game restarted, Alan, that Dundee United took off the best looking man in the league, Charlie Mulgrew. And you felt that was a good thing, in your opinion, for us, yeah?
Yeah, definitely. I think Charlie Mulgrew is a player that has kind of found a bit of like a second wind at Dundee United. I think it's one of those, because he is probably their most senior player, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you probably are right.
The responsibility that he has and his deliveries from set pieces as well. When he went off, I thought, yeah, that's good. That's a leader at the back who's not on the park anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, didn't take us long in the second half to add to the scoring, did it? 50th
Absolutely.
Minute.
5 minutes after the second half started, and literally what I've got in my notes here, Woodburn is on fire. So basically, it was pretty much, man. It was a corner kick from the right hand side. It almost kind of because I think Taylor Moore did try to take it with his back to actually goal, but it almost sort of bounces off his chest, and Woodburn just came flying in. Now, at that moment, again, much like his first goal, I thought, because it was on the half sort of the volley, I thought he was just going to lever it, absolutely lever it, but he just takes the sting out of that shot, and it's all it looks just like a feather just literally floating in. And again, it just shows the talent that young man has. It was just such a composed, beautiful finish. And again, it shown how much that goal meant to him. And Devlin, it shows how much Devlin loved that goal as much as he did as well. Ridiculous.
Devlin loves every goal. Devlin just loves the Hearts.
He does.
I totally agree with you on the Ben Woodburn technique, to be honest. When I watched it live, I thought he'd maybe scuffed it a little bit. I didn't quite appreciate how good the actual technique was. Yeah. Because it's sort of, like you said, it was like a feather and it floated in. That's a perfect way of putting it, to be honest. I genuinely thought he'd maybe shinned it or something. And it
mate.
Like looped in or something. But it wasn't until I watched it in the evening on like a different angle. You could see it from behind him, behind Woodburn, and he's coming onto it. He side foots it and he knows exactly where it's going. Like I've said it about Ben Woodburn for weeks. This guy is on the books of Liverpool. He is a player.
He is a player.
The only way that we're going to get to keep him is if we qualify for Champions League and throw all the money in the world at him, because his contract runs out at Liverpool at the end of the season as well.
Once again, if I think trying to get Taylor Moore and the Cochrane, Jesus, like just to reference Roy Keane, you're in cuckoo land, man. Seriously. But I mean, I would love it. I do not get me wrong. I would love it.
We're going to be champions this season, mate. So he's
Oh
going to
yeah,
be
sorry,
excited about coming here. Of course.
totally
Swapping
forgot that one.
previous champions of England to come and play for the champions of Scotland. Come
Sure,
on.
that's sorry. Beg my pardon. Sorry about that. So yeah, after that beautiful finish from Woodburn, again, made for a nervy last half an hour, going into the 60th minute. Dundee United did what they've been doing throughout the start of the season. They managed to counter us, and again, like it was a good counter attacking, like to play from them. Like I will like sort of give them that much, but again, you had Kingsley and Halkett essentially marking one man. Obviously, Hooter kind of fell like sort of behind as well, which ultimately left Clark to actually just header it in. Like again, I don't know if I've got so much sort of criticisms on it as such. Maybe I'm being a bit too critical, but I thought possibly Cochrane might have tried to close down the player that actually made the cross as well. But like I think those are being like a bit too like sort of critical. But like I mean, I thought it was a good like sort of counter, and like I said, it kind of made for a almost nervy half an hour.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's interesting because I'm not going to be critical either because I don't think you can be. I think we had the ball in the Dundee United half and we lost it, and they just played, I think it was like 3 or 4 passes before the goal.
Yeah.
It reminded me so much of goals that we conceded under Stendhal in terms of our high line pushing further up the pitch, losing the ball, and not being able to get back. But take nothing away from the cross. The cross into Nicky Clark was pinpoint.
Yeah.
And Nicky Clark is not a big man. He's a small man, and he managed to get a header because he was totally on his own.
Yeah.
And I think
true, but
I'm not going to be critical of John Souttar, but I feel like John Souttar was maybe the man that lost Nicky Clark. But that's just because Souttar was all the way up the park.
Yeah.
So, but again,
it is what it is.
It wouldn't be Hearts if we didn't add a little bit of drama and a little bit of nerves in there.
I know, because like after we scored the third goal, like you text me quite a few times saying, "Oh, like what a finish, this and that, blah 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 blah." And then literally as soon as their second goal went in, the text came flying. Fuck's sake, Harvey, can't you throw this away now? Fuck this, like I've been so. But even though like I don't know if I didn't feel worried that we were going to throw it away, even if it did end 3-2. I don't know what it was. I just felt we had enough control in the actual game not to let it get to that point. I don't know how you felt, Alan, but that's kind of how I felt about it.
No, I would agree with that. And I think as well, we were creating enough chances that made me think, even if they do score 2, like they've got it back to 3-2.
Yeah,
we are creating enough that we could still get another goal. Like it was the frustrations and the anxieties that I had when Dundee United scored the second goal were just the usual frustrations and anxieties that I have.
Yeah, of course.
But I had confidence in the team that they were going to see it out, to be honest.
Yeah. I mean, before we go on to the next goal, the changes that we did make, again, compared to last week's game against Aberdeen, were just night and day. So for the second half, we did bring on GMS, brought Aaron McAneff, the myth, the legend. I totally forgot that he was actually here, but it was nice to see him on as well. And we brought on Nando in place of Janelli, if I'm right in saying. Yeah. So yeah. Again, like I won't make any bones about it. My mood kind of dropped when we brought GMS on. Again, my sort of the feelings on it. throughout the games that he has played and throughout the times that he's come on to a game. I'll be very honest. He's offered not a lot. I don't know what your view is on it, Alan. Of course, like I know that in the system that we play, like our the wingers as such have maybe only got about maybe 20 like sort of the minutes in them, but at the same time, especially when he replaced Mackay, who I think has been absolutely brilliant. And even when you're seeing him at maybe the same like sort of the minute mark, me personally, I don't think he shows any signs of actually slowing down, and that partially adds to the frustration. Because I genuinely think that GMS personally, with the front three that we have, whoever we play on the left or right, I mean, I don't mind saying that I would probably argue that GMS is probably fourth choice, if I'm right in saying.
Yeah. I think I have a slightly different view on GMS, and I think I understand your point of view completely. In terms of his output, goal-wise, he should have a lot more goals than he does because he's missed some absolute sitters this season. We are well aware of that. But what I will say is that I have to be honest, I like his work rate when he's not on the ball. I think that's one of the reasons why he gets brought on in this particular game. I think Barry Mackay had a very good game, but we all know Robbie Nielsen does his substitution of a winger after an hour or after 70 minutes. We know that. That's you don't need to. That's literally like a planned substitution. Which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. But in that instance, you're looking at it and you're going, is he going to take off Ginnelly? No, because Ginnelly's playing well. Is he going to take off Ben Woodburn? No, because Ben Woodburn's got 2 goals and is doing very well. Barry Mackay was the obvious one to come off, even though Barry Mackay didn't really do a lot wrong in the game himself.
No, he didn't, no.
And I think, Gary Mackay-Steven is one of those players. He's another one that's not a fashionable player, but he can do a job, and I like that about him. Okay, he should have more goals, and I bet if we phoned him up and asked him tomorrow, he'd say he should be on about 4 or 5, but he's not. And that's the frustration that fans have. But what I will say, I think the substitution made sense at the time.
No, man, I get that, yeah.
Plus, you've got to remember as well, Dundee United, a former club, he might have wanted to rattle one in. It's
if he had done that, like against Aberdeen, he would have all my praise, but he didn't fucking do it. No, I mean, not to go in too deeply about it, but I agree from what you're saying is that, I have seen, how he can work hard when he's not on the ball, but even then, there have been times where, he doesn't want that actual ball. And what I mean by that is that, you've seen most of the players now in the starting lineup, they want to have it. They're screaming at whoever has that actual ball. And you see everybody screaming for it, shouting for it, wanting to drive with it. But there's a part of me, and I have seen it. I can't quote the actual games of what it was, but again, I just don't. There's just part of me that thinks that only not sort of wants the ball, but he'll only do something with it when he actually gets it. If that makes sense, I
know what you're trying to say. I know, mate. You're going round the houses about it, but I know exactly what you're trying to say.
Yeah, that has been me for fucking years, mate. What I mean. I don't know what I'm trying to say, and I mean, you could probably say it much better, mate. But I almost see him not maybe purposely trying to hide, but I just don't see him wanting the actual ball as compared to most people. That's your job almost to actually want it and then to drive.
Yeah, no, I do. I see where you're coming from, but I just think that Gary Mackay-Steven is the perfect sort of player to have on the bench. He's not, it's like we say about Nandule, he's not a starter. And I'm happy that Gary Mackay-Steven is not an automatic starter because he shouldn't be.
No.
In the same way that Nandule shouldn't be. But like I said earlier on, there will be games this season where Gary Mackay-Steven is the person that you want on the park at a certain time.
Fair
and
enough.
I think when he was brought on, I think he did well. I think he he put himself around and he did all right. And I'm not even going to talk about the fifth goal because his involvement in that was massive. But we haven't even spoken about the fourth one yet.
No, we haven't. And to be honest, there isn't really a lot to talk about the fourth goal because I can just say it in a few words. It was from the left-hand side from a free kick that was put in beautifully by Cochrane. Again, like you said about the Dundee United cross, pinpointed right at the back post, and there was Kingsley just to knock it in from a header. And yeah, I'm pretty sure you text me at that point, even with just 15 minutes left. I'm pretty sure we both thought that was game over.
Yeah, I sent a message to a friend saying 4-2 Kingsley free kick, and they replied saying, "Has he rattled another one in top corner?" I said, "No, he scored from about 5 yards out."
Exactly.
But yeah, it was nice, and I think it made up for his unfortunate deflection for the Dundee United goal. But yeah, what a cross! What a cross!
It was.
It was a brilliant
Pinpoint.
cross, but again, it was crap defending from Dundee United because he was literally all on his own at the back post. But I am not complaining in the slightest
Absolutely not, sir. Absolutely not. So yeah, I think that's all we've got to actually say on that because there's not a lot to go into. And as we said when I was going through the changes that we actually made, mate. This is something that I did want to kind of talk about, not in depth about it, but obviously we brought in Aaron Manef during January. We did start to see glimpses of maybe what he can do and what he can possibly offer on the park. Before we talk about his goal, do you feel as if he's kind of had a bit of an, I don't want to say unfair, because I don't think that kind of comes into it when you've got players there that are playing very well. But do you think that he's kind of been maybe a bit unlucky in the sense that when it was the end of the championship season and getting closer to the start of this season, I genuinely thought that Kenneth was going to be a big part of Robbie's squad. I don't know why I thought that, but just with the kind of player that he is, I thought he was genuinely going to be sort of largely involved in that. So in that respect, do you feel as if he's just had a bit of bad luck, like, in that sense, like sort of since he joined?
I think so. I think it's very difficult to talk about it because last season the championship, and you can go back and listen to podcasts that we did when we were in the championship. I was championing McAnuff because I like him. I
know you were.
And I think early on he got shunted around the park because Robbie didn't really know where best to fit him in, which is fine. You're trying to find the best place for a player to play. Played him on the wing a few times, played him through the middle, and it was just shunting him all over the park just to fit him in. I think as well, though, I think this season, you're talking about the summer recruitment that we've done. Yeah. We bring in Benny and Cammy Devlin, and you're looking at those two going, oh, that's your first choice too, right away. Like, it is. And yeah, as I said earlier on, though, and this is something that Aaron McAnuff can hopefully take advantage of now, no two games in the Scottish Premiership. No two games in the Scottish Premiership are the same. No. So there will be games, and we had one recently, Dundee at home.
Oh Christ!
Dundee, I'll reference it again. Dundee sat in and defended for
Yeah.
large spells of that game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be slightly critical and say I don't think in that sort of game you need both Benny and Devlin to play, because I think they are both similar in their profiles.
No. They are.
They both love a tackle. They both love winning the ball back. That's great. That's fantastic.
Absolutely,
that's what they do. They drive forward, but they almost look uncomfortable when they get forward because it's not their natural game.
I understand you. Yeah.
You could see from Aaron McEnough's cameo at the end of the game, because that's what it was.
Lovely put.
That's what it was.
Lovely put there. I love it.
Yeah. You could see from that appearance, this is a guy that wants to get forward.
Mm-hmm.
This is a guy that will drive forward from the midfield. I'm not saying that Aaron McEnough is the answer to all of our lack of goal scoring outside of Liam Boyce problems, but he's got something.
Yeah.
And I think that all you can ask for from a player who's been out of favour, hasn't even been making match day squads.
No.
Not even just talking about the bench. He's not even been getting into 18. He's been given a chance against Dundee United.
Mm-hmm.
He's come on. He won a few tackles, played the ball about, scored an absolute beauty of a goal.
Just a wee and then just a wee flick in. And it was, again, like I've said this almost about every goal, but again, it was so composed and just so chilled. It was just so chilled. Just like, you know what I mean? You know?
It's one of those, and like I said, he couldn't do any more in that time he was on the pitch. And his other appearance this season was against Celtic in the League Cup, and he scored in that game as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, he is a player that can score a goal from midfield.
Mm-hmm.
And what I will say as well, to add to that, the joy of his fellow players when he scored that goal.
Absolutely.
I don't think I've seen a more complete team celebration than I did at that goal. It was almost like everybody wanted to just give him a hug. And I think they all talk about it, and it's funny because even like on social medias after the game, everybody was putting pictures of that goal up going, my guy, my player, brilliant goal. And it was a brilliant goal, but we scored some brilliant goals in that game.
Dude, that was literally what I was about to say. Like, granted, it might have not been the best one out of them all that we scored, but even though I was delighted for Woodburn to get his first goal, I don't know why, but there was a small part inside of me that was just so happy for him. I don't know what it was, but you could see in that sort of moment that it meant so much to him.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
It did. And I think it shows you, because I think I might be paraphrasing, but Robbie Nielsen said something along the lines of, you know, he's done well in training and he's working hard. And you know, that's what you want. That's what you want from a player that's not getting involved. You want him to want to be involved.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so nice to see him scoring a goal. And I have to be honest as well, it was a brilliant finish. The Dundee United goalkeeper made some brilliant saves, but that goal made him look average. Like the way he just dinked it over him as if it was nothing. It was just like, yeah, thanks very much. I'll have that. See you later.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah, what a way to finish a game. What a way to finish a game. But before I hand it back to you, Gary Mackay-Steven assist. Gary Mackay-Steven assist. Won the ball back, played it through to him. Can I just say as well, having just looked it up, that makes Gary Mackay-Steven the leading assist provider at the moment with 4. He has 4 assists this season. So
I don't know what you expect me to say, mate. I honestly don't know what you expect me to say.
I'm just making a case for Gary Mackay-Steven, because I think you're not the only one. You're not the only one that doesn't rate him, and I get it, but his end product is there. Okay, he doesn't score goals, but he can create, he gets assists, and that's what you want. If he's not scoring, at least he's doing something. Fair
enough. I'm honestly I don't know. I genuinely don't know where or how I'm meant to and to her back, but look,
you're not. That's I'm
not, you know what I mean.
I'm not looking for a reaction. I'm just putting it out there. That's a statistic,
mate. Like, like, you know what I mean? I mean, again, I could probably talk about him for ages, but it's not what I want to do. So yeah, and also as well, we're just going to end things on the two winners of the prints that we had up for grabs last week. Alan, well, how we've done it, I was saying to Alan, oh yeah, like, you know, we can write all the names down, like literally every single one, and we can get them into like a hat and then do that. But then Alan had a simple way of doing it. Just, why don't you just put them into a name generator? And I was like, I could probably save quite a lot of time. So Alan has got said winners of said prints. So Alan, would you like to announce the two lucky people that have now got their hands on these two prints for them?
Yeah, absolutely. Just before I do, I just want to say thanks for everybody that entered said giveaway. Obviously, it was a little give back to you guys for the support that you've shown this podcast that we started a little while ago now. We're quite deep into this now, I would think.
We're not doing too bad, are we? We're not doing too bad.
Yeah, we seem to know what we're talking about occasionally. every once in a while, we come across something decent.
I don't bother.
But yeah, essentially, I posted the giveaway across our social channels, as Ewan has said, we're Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and the two winners are Colin Allen and John Walls, who both liked the Facebook post and subscribed to the channel as requested, as asked, and their names were selected. So I've been in contact with both of them and just hopefully getting those prints to you in the not too distant future.
Woo! Well done, boys. Well done, well done. And as always, if you want to get in contact with ourselves or find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, you can. All the links will be in the description as on screen as well at SIWY Pod. Also, if you want to get in contact with us through our email as well, you can. Since I was young, 1874@gmail.com. And finally, if you want to get in contact with either myself or Alan, you can as well. Both of our links to our Twitter pages as well will be in description. So to everyone, thank you very much for watching, and Alan, as always, thank you for joining me on this dreadful Monday afternoon, sir.
You're very welcome. I'm just looking outside and it is absolutely horrific out there, and I've got to go for a run shortly. This is wonderful.
Enjoy your run, sir. Absolutely. But yes, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. You take care. Bye for now.